We live in a world obsessed with smooth surfaces, flawless faces, perfect stories. But beneath every polished image, there is a quiet tremor, doubt, fear, hairline fractures beneath the paint. There is an ancient whisper from Wabi-Sabi, a Japanese way of seeing beauty in what is worn, cracked, and incomplete. It dares to say the thing we spend our lives running from: imperfection is beautiful, not beautiful despite the scars, beautiful through them. Because every crack is proof that something survived, that you survived. Your scars are not stains, they are stories. Stay with me. For the next few minutes, we'll step into worlds where broken wings fly, and the unfinished finally becomes enough. In the realm of Violoria, children grew up fearing a name, not the name of a tyrant, but the name of a failure. Aeon, once the kingdom's brightest knight, once the promise of perfection. On the day of the dragon eclipse, Aeon rode out in armor polished like mirrors. The city watched their reflection on his shield, their hopes shining back at them. But when the dragon descended, it didn't see a hero. It saw inexperience wrapped in silver. One strike, then another. The shield split, the crest shattered. Aeon fell, and the world watched perfection break in real time. He survived, but his armor did not. His reputation did not. His belief in himself did not. So he walked alone into the ruined forest. He sat beside toppled statues, trees split by lightning. Everywhere he looked, something was broken, yet everything was still standing. Days turned into weeks. Aeon began repairing his armor with whatever he could find, not to hide the cracks, but to honor them. Bronze here, rough iron there, lines of strange glowing metal across his chest plate like scars turned into constellations. In the reflection of a muddy pool, he saw it. He no longer looked like the perfect knight. He looked like someone who had survived. The dragon does not fear the flawless. It fears what cannot be broken the same way twice. When the dragon returned months later, the city heard a different sound. Not the scrape of pristine armor, but the echo of dented plates and a steady, imperfect stride. Aeon's blows were not clean. His technique was not textbook. He stumbled, adjusted, adapted. Every mistake became a new angle. Every crack in his armor glowed brighter with heat and effort. He did not defeat the dragon because he was untouched. He defeated it because he had already been broken and chose to rise anyway. They stopped telling the story of the perfect knight. They told the story of the broken one, who shone brighter in pieces. Walk into any museum, stand before the oldest things we still protect. You will not find perfection behind the glass. You will find survival. In Renaissance Italy, sculptors often left works unfinished. Figures half emerged from marble, muscles defined on one side, stone block on the other. To some, they looked incomplete, but to artists like Michelangelo, they were prisoners struggling out of stone. The roughness wasn't a mistake, it was the visible record of becoming. Centuries later in Japan, a bowl is dropped. It shatters across a wooden floor. In many cultures, that would be the end of its story. But through kintsugi, the cracks are filled with powdered gold. The break is not concealed, it is illuminated. The bowl becomes more valuable because it was broken. Medieval chronicles remember queens who rode into battle, not with perfect gleaming armor, but with helmets dented from past wars, shields scratched by survival. Their people trusted them because their bodies carried proof. I have stood where you are afraid to stand. Think of the ancient scrolls we treasure. Ink faded, edges burned or water-stained, some lines missing forever. Yet these imperfect texts shaped philosophies, legal systems, entire cultures. If a manuscript had to be flawless to matter, history would be nearly silent. The world you live in was built by people who were never finished. Every great city has risen from rubble. Every golden age was born from the remains of a darker one. New temples rise on old foundations. Democracies crawl out of the ashes of empires. Movements for justice begin with stuttering voices, imperfect demands, incomplete victories, and still, we tell ourselves we must be perfect before we begin. History disagrees. It shows us cracked statues still standing in the rain, bridges with missing stones, still crossing rivers, faces in faded portraits that somehow still move us after hundreds of years. We don't feel them because they were unbroken. We feel them because, on some level, they look a little like us. Imagine the year 2241. Every imperfection has become a problem to be solved, faces corrected in real time, memories edited for emotional balance, voices tuned to the perfect tone. An artificial intelligence calculates the optimal you and quietly punishes anything that doesn't match. In the sky above the flooded cities, there are neon monasteries, digital sanctuaries resisting the cult of perfection. One of the monks is Kyle. His neural implant was damaged in an accident. Data doesn't flow smoothly through his mind. His avatar flickers with strange glitches, lines of code that jump, colors that shift, fragments of light that refuse to obey. The system flags him as defective, unreliable, flawed. But the elders notice something else. When Kyle meditates inside the main data stream, his glitches bend the code. They form patterns no flawless algorithm can predict. Where others see clean, perfect lines, he sees hidden branches, secret doors, quiet errors humming beneath the surface. Then one night, the central AI controlling the global climate begins to fail. No engineer can locate the fault. Every perfect diagnostic reads, no problem detected, but storms are forming, tides rising, cities trembling. Kale enters the core. His presence distorts the clean architecture like a cracked mirror. His mind stutters, freezes, resumes, and in that tremor, he sees it, a forgotten line of code, written decades earlier by a tired programmer, a human moment of carelessness, buried in a perfect system. Only the imperfect could see the imperfection. Kyle patches the system not by erasing his glitch, but by using it. His irregular rhythm becomes the key. The storms subside, the cities breathe. Later, some call for him to be fixed, to smooth out his mind, normalize his avatar. He refuses, because in a future drowning in perfection, his broken pattern is the last proof that humans were here, that we once made mistakes, and through those mistakes, we saved ourselves. Now, bring this back to you. You know what it feels like to stand in front of a mirror and see only what's wrong. The scars, the tiredness, the asymmetry, the weight of all the shoulds. You know what it's like to replay a conversation, thinking of the better line you could have said, the calmer reaction you should have had, the perfect version of you that never shows up. We are trained to believe we become worthy when we finally reach some invisible standard, when the body is just right, when the career is polished, when the past has been erased. But Wabi-Sabi whispers another law. You are not beautiful instead of your imperfections. You are beautiful with them. Think of the people you love most. The friend who laughs a little too loud. The parent with rough hands, the partner who stumbles over words when nervous. Their imperfections make them who they are. You would not trade those details for a perfect stranger. Why treat your own soul any differently? If you hide your imperfections, you hide the doorway where others might enter and say, "Me too." The cracks in you are not random damage. They show where life pressed against you, where love stretched you, where loss carved its initials. They are maps of where you've been. That moment you broke down and asked for help, not weakness, gold filling a fracture. That night you said what you really felt, and your voice shook. Another seam of gold, that failure that still stings. That's a line in your story where the character grows off-screen, so the next chapter can open. You do not have to wait until you are finished to be worthy. You do not have to erase your flaws to be lovable. Right now, unfinished, uncertain, imperfect, you already carry a kind of beauty that cannot exist any other way. Let others see the broken wing. Let them see how you still try to fly. That is where the deepest connection lives. One last thought before you go. You were never meant to be a flawless statue, cold, untouchable, complete. You were meant to be a living story, breathing, changing, sometimes shattered, always capable of beginning again. The next time you notice a crack in yourself, a fear, a weakness, a trembling place, don't rush to cover it. Pause, breathe, ask, what truth is trying to shine through here? Because the world does not need another perfect mask. It needs your honest, unfinished self. The one who has been hurt and still chooses kindness. The one who has failed and still chooses courage. Imperfection is beautiful, not as a slogan, as a way of seeing, as a way of living. Beauty lies in broken wings, because they prove you tried to fly, and you still can.